but
Gotcha.
I don't know. I just never. I don't even have my music on this computer. I have my old laptop, my old Mac. I call it my crap top. Um, it has all my music on it, and it has seriously like I don't know 50 gig of music probably.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But nobody listens to music like that anymore. I just
Yeah.
it's just Spotify.
I'm still waiting on Elon actually said this at Battery Investor Day. He said that they would be having Tidal soon, which is like my preferred music streaming service. I think it's the
Oh,
best. Yeah.
what is it? Is it called
Oh,
Tidal?
we have actually, I guess we have some people. I guess it did go out correctly because we have a couple people waiting already.
Okay, good.
Okay, well, we'll get him in. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, I didn't know if you want to like go over things first or. Okay.
Oh, well, I did start to read. I mean, the questions are pretty, simple.
Generic questions for any FSD Beta interview.
Yeah.
Common questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just went through. Where do I see Tesla 5 to 10 years? I mean, God.
So, Kim, where do you see Tesla in 5 to 10 years?
Well,
I think it's a good question. I mean, that's something like I would even ask Elon, and he might be like, I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, I see, 3 more factories at least being built probably, and just cranking out cars.
I think I mean, I think there was one at least somewhat planned for East Coast, or at least like east of Tennessee or something. It sounded like.
Do you think that would still happen? Or, I mean, was that in addition to
Gigafactory Texas?
Yeah.
I think so, because Gigafactory Texas is primarily for the Cybertruck, right? And they're probably going to do I think the Cybertruck, the Semi. They're going to start with the Y?
I'm pretty sure that was one of the things they said at Battery Day.
Oh, sorry, it's my alarm. Send out the event emails. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right, we are good on that. All right. So we didn't get enough time to make a special drink for this. I feel bad about that. Yeah.
Actually, I thought about it while I was making this drink, and I was like, is this an FSD drink? No.
What would constitute as a full self-driving drink? I feel like that's a very bad title for anything.
It probably needs to be like a really strong drink that would like.
That's what I was. Like full self-driving, because that was my thought too. I was like, it's got to be something really strong.
Yeah,
it's full self-driving.
Like
you're not driving.
I would say like a Vesper or like a like something that exists already. Pretty strong. A Sazerac, maybe something with absinthe. Oh
God. Or with the Tequila.
The problem with the tequila is that I only got one bottle. So
I was going to ask you. So you did order a bottle. Okay.
It's so funny. I think I had friends over here. I have like a little bubble that we like. There's 5 of us that hang out, like the people we don't have masks on in front of.
Yeah.
Indoors, and they were over here. We were all standing around my island. Like I think we had literally just done a shot of tequila. And I happened to check Twitter and I see it. And I was like, oh my God, you guys, because I've learned my lesson with if you wait, it gets sold out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so I'm like, and I don't have $250 right now. Like I just spent a fortune out here.
Just sell some Tesla shares. That's all you have to do.
I don't want to sell any more Tesla shares. I got to keep all my Tesla shares. But anyways, but I bought it. But I could not buy 2. I just couldn't. So supposedly Eli is going to have people out. If I want to go out to California, he's going to open up one of his bottles.
Oh, all right. Yeah. It's a yeah. I mean,
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine. I think he was going to do it next month, like have people over or have.
That's a big bubble he has, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, things are a little different now. Like, I don't think I would fly out there right now. So gotta wait for things to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting on the Gerber 420 event, right? There was right when Tesla hit 420 pre-split, I think that was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to happen. And
I mean, I was going to go to that. I was, I was ready to fly out or drive out. I was totally going to do it. I mean, I do want to do another road trip, hopefully before I go back to work.
So I was going to ask you before we start too, is that looking promising, or what's the plan for work?
Oh, for work. I mean, I have 30 years seniority with Delta.
Wow.
So I'll go back. Like I have my job if I want it. I mean, I
Gotcha.
want it, you
Yeah,
know.
like, I would like it. Yeah.
I would like it. I mean, I actually could have retired. You know, if I had like maybe 3 times the Tesla shares, I would have retired.
Just wait 3 more years.
Yeah, I know, right?
Simple math.
Actually, I mean, I was actually thinking about that today. Like, I might actually retire early on my Tesla shares. Like, it's
Wow.
but
And it went up after hours too. This thing, it's
I
like
know.
a train that doesn't stop. It's
I
like, sorry,
know.
my brakes are broken. I just have to keep going. Like,
It's gonna
okay.
keep going. I think it's gonna keep going until at least, you know, after the indexes have to buy in, and then
Yeah, I think yeah, same thing that almost happened with as soon as they had their 4 profitable quarters, and it was just basically a train all the way up until the stock, or the stock split. There was something, I think they announced a stock split, and then it was a big strong train, and everyone said, okay, once it gets to stock split, it'll calm down.
yeah, nope.
And then it kept going up, and then, you know, the 4 profitable quarters, and then, okay, by December 21st, maybe it'll have a dip, and it's like, I guess not. I guess this thing just keeps going.
You know, I sold 20 shares. I posted about it today on, I think, one of Earl's threads. Totally derailed his tweet. But I sold like 20 shares at a little over 2,000 right before the split, to help finance what I did outside. And
It's very pretty, by the way.
thank you.
That looks really nice.
I did twice as much as I was going to do. And part of it was because I did want to take some profit. I mean, I have kind of a lot, not a lot compared to other people, but for me, like, you know, my portfolio,
Yeah.
it was kind of heavy. And so I'm like, you know, I'm going to take a little bit of profit. I'm going to do something with it. And now and I felt good about it then. Like, I felt really good, because then after the split, it did go down a little bit.
Yeah.
But now it's all back, and now I have all that back, even though I would have more if I still had the shares. But, you know, I have all this out here now, so I don't regret it one bit. But
yeah, it's one of those, it's one of those thoughts that I had too, which is, you know, besides retirement, like, what is the actual plan? Like, some people are making wild money, and it's like there's such an emotional attraction to the stock that you don't want to sell it. Not because you don't want to sell it because, you know, you're just, oh, it might go higher. It's like, I don't want to sell it because I don't want to sell it. I don't want to see it go. And yeah, and Dennis is here. Hey, Dennis. Dennis, you're not from New York State. How did you get on here?
Who let him in the play? Yeah, I mean, what did people do with Apple? What did people do with Google? Like, I mean, I feel like there were a lot of millionaires made out of those.
Yeah. And Amazon, and I mean, I don't think, I mean, from what I would assume, I don't think anyone ever gets in day one IPO and holds until that point. I'm sure people probably sell it. I mean, there's a couple, but the most absurd stock I've ever seen has been Home Depot. If you ever want to look at a stock that is mind-boggling from IPO to current date, I think it's up like 1 million %.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's like, how I mean, maybe Tesla will be there in 20 years. Who knows?
Yeah, I find that, you know, IPOs are always a, you know, crapshoot, right? It's when Fisker did the SPAC, it wasn't really an IPO. I mean, the SPAC acquisitions are, you know, they're existing companies that are getting taken over by these special acquisition companies. And at that point, if you're going to just play the momentum, you can minimize your risk by doing it with options, as long as options are traded. So in the case of Fisker, I mean, I picked up a few 1250 options for 40 cents a piece.
Wow.
And then, you know, they were short. So, I mean, the time frame, I had to get rid of them by last week, because it's like November expirations, because they came out earlier in the thing. But they were in the money. But I don't like holding them on the last day, so I sold them on the day before, like the 19th, and they were up another $5 after that. But my strategy usually is, if it doubles, I sell half.
Yeah, it's a safe bet. I mean, you're locked in your money. You're safe to go.
Once that got a call coming in.
Okay.
Yeah.
My probably most like ridiculous stock has been, I ended up selling it all sadly, but was Neo.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny, that one ended up really getting, it wasn't too popular. Everyone was like, oh, it's just, the Chinese knockoff version of Tesla, and which is actually XPeng, but hey, we'll let that one, like literally they just stole Tesla's codes. Like they're, but that was one where I ended up, I had like an average share price of probably like 350 or so.
Wow.
And I bought all the way down to like $1.50, and I was like, whatever, at this point, I'm pretty far invested in it. I'll just buy it down to, I can't, like I have no more money left. And I it ended up going to like $14, and with an average price of like 3 something. And I had a good amount in there because I was never expecting it to do what it did. And pretty much let the final shares go around like $17. And I was like, it's got to dip. And then that sucker just took off.
I mean, Tesla is the only individual stock I own. I mean, I have
and Elon.
Yeah, I have my 401k, I have a IRA account. But for individual stocks, that's it. And I have thought about buying. I actually almost got in on Peloton because I love my Peloton.
And Sean Mitchell talked about that too for a while. He's like, anyone have any thought?
Sean into
you
Peloton.
got him into, really?
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
he bought the stock partially because how much I talked to him about how addicted I was to my Peloton. Because Sean and I talk every day. Like we're very good friends. And he knew that I felt about Peloton the way that I feel about Tesla, in that it's a cult. Like people are
a good cult.
Yeah, a good cult. Like people really stand behind the product. People love the product. People love the instructors. People love like the value that you get for being able to just ditch your gym membership, and everybody in your house is $39 a month total if you have a bike or a tread or whatever. And so he actually bought it like right before, when I was on my road trip. I came out there to I stopped in Denver and stayed with him a couple nights, and he bought it then. And it's gone way up like since then. But
yeah, it's one of those stay-at-home stocks that was well timed for its IPO towards COVID-19. I mean,
with COVID,
Zoom the same way, right? I mean, Zoom went out last year. There's a lot of.
I mean, but the way that just to finish that point, my thing about, even with Peloton, where I think my money is going to get the most is with Tesla. I mean, and I have plenty of other investments with my mutual funds and stuff. And so this is like kind of my fun money or whatever,
retirement money at this point.
It's now my retirement money, because everybody kept telling me to sell and take profit. And I was like, no. And now look, even my ex-husband yesterday was joking with me. He's like, you should sell that Tesla now. Because he had been telling me to sell it. And I was like, hell no, you should buy it.
Well, I watched Jim Cramer, and he's got a show called Mad Money, and that's exactly what Mad Money is, right? It's the money you can afford to go ahead and invest. And if it's one stock or 5 stocks or whatever, he usually, I mean, the strategies, you want to be diversified, typically, right? To withstand the swings of the market, right? Not one sector will always be down or whatnot.
Right.
And, sometimes you get lucky, like in the case of Tesla, where it's just, it's insane, and you write insanity with it. But there are points where, if you're getting nervous, there's nothing wrong at all with taking a profit at any point.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's what Kim and I were talking about a while ago. At some point, you're probably, unless you're just going to pass it from one generation to the next and the next, it's like at some point you probably are going to sell a stock. And the hardest thing with Tesla is we're so emotionally bonded to it that you don't want to sell it, not because you're FOMO of making more money. Like, yeah, it's part of it, but you also there's such a strong bond, and you're like, I can't let this thing go. I've been with it for years.
You can't,
That's stock, you can't.
That's not the way I look at things. I mean, that being said, we've held on to Tesla stock forever, but I have sold the position this year because at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I really should just cover what I have. I mean, even then, the plan there was to sell some of it and then buy back in because it was doing, there was that time when it was bouncing between 450 or 480 to 450 to 370 or
Oh,
three
pre-split.
last week,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
before I did this last run.
Yeah.
Right. So what I would do is I would write a covered call when it was running at 340 to go to like 380 or 385 because it wasn't gonna, or not 380, 480 and 485 because it never hit that. And if it expires, you got paid for that, right? And then I would buy a put on the other end, or sell a put, so that I'm committed to buy with the proceeds that I just had. So in order to do that, you need to have proceeds with which to do that. So I sold one contract's worth, which is 100 shares. So I can always do a call and have the cash on hand to be committed and get paid while it's on. So it's like having an interest, because I mean, we don't get dividends in Tesla stock. All you get is the performance.
I almost wonder if they're going to
Lock it in.
consider that someday. I don't know. Maybe that's just not their style, but it's one of those things where it's like they have so much money in the bank right now that it's something that could be considered.
I mean, I think eventually they will get there. I think that, I mean.
Well, I don't want to pay dividends right now. They've got a whole business to build. They've got all these gigafactories to build, right? They got to make batteries. They've got, all the other stuff. So,
and then dividends.
If they really end up being a $2 trillion company, though, like then, would they do it then?
I don't know. I mean, look, it took forever for Apple to start doing dividends, right?
Do you know how many years, Dennis? How long that took?
I don't know, decades. I mean, don't look, like I said, as far as not, never turn down a profit. Like I bought Amazon during the Great Recession and had a good cost basis, and I made great loads of money on it. I mean, for what I invested, and I sold it at 300, sold out of my position at 300. It's what, a $3,000 stock now. 10 times ago, but I got my Tesla, so I got my other stuff with what I had with it.
Dennis, did you ever have Neo?
I played the Neo options. I didn't buy this. I actually met some of the Neo guys. The guy who's in charge of Europe last year when the stock was trading at 3, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, the thing to me was, really the focus was the Chinese market. It's capital intensive, and it really is up to China on what EV manufacturers the country's going to back versus the ones that they're not, right? So that's always the risk with China, which is why I don't want to own stock in China. Is because you take a look at what happened to Alibaba. They were supposed to have a spin-off on an IPO that got yanked by the Beijing at the last moment, and the stock dropped like 30, 40 points. I mean, it's like 10%, 15% in a day, and
wow,
it could be worse than that. So,
jeez. Well, we'll give a couple more minutes, maybe start around like 7:05, just to give everyone enough time.
Someone's at work.
Someone's at work. Wait,
Jim on the bottom. Look, that definitely looks like an office.
Oh,
well, cheers to you, New Yorkers.
Cheers to Jim. Cheers to Dennis.
Thank you for being, at happy hour already. I'm in the West Coast, and it's only 4 o'clock, but I'll start drinking early for you guys.
Yes, actually, I don't even have a drink.
What?
How's that possible, Jim?
Actually, it's stupid.
Oh, it's a background. Jim's messing with us. It's a virtual background.
Oh.
I thought you were in the office. I'm like, wow, someone's in the office.
What do you guys think about the Xpeng?
Hold on 1 second.
Xpeng's been crazy. I mean, you can't fight momentum. I mean,
yeah.
I played the options in that last week as well and did well. I mean.
Oh, by the way, I think we have about 20 in so far. Dennis, you want to give a quick introduction before we start things about who you are and how you're in this call right now?
I'm a guest. I'm not in New York. I run the Tesla Owners Club of Orange County, California. I know there's an Orange County all over the place. There's one in New York.
And one in New York too. One in Florida.
There's one in Florida. I mean, wherever they want to put the word orange in. We're one of the original Tesla Owners Club that started the program, even before the guy that we work with at Tesla had been doing that. And I just, I saw the tweet and, just said, hey, maybe you guys can let me join for a second. So
Dennis always invites me to all their events. So I said I have to, and I actually felt bad. I forgot. I said, oh my gosh, how'd I forget? But yeah, good to have you with us. I'm excited. I'm excited to learn about this. I guess
this is a Tesla Club thing. So on the Tesla side, my wife has a 2008 Roadster. We have a 2013 S, and I have a 2017 rear-wheel drive 3 as my car. And we had our power walls installed the week after Elon did in Bel Air. So if you guys have any questions on any of those things,
So you have the original power walls then?
Powerwall 2s, because the original
Okay.
Powerwalls in the US were very limited in distribution. I think in the US, the guys in Vermont got it with Green Mountain Power. I think when they started doing their testing for the virtual power plant, I think they had some of that.
Gotcha.
So
I'll give us a couple more minutes. So about 7:05 or so. Yeah. Let's see. But yeah, thank you, Dennis, for joining with us. What time? It's what is it? 4 o'clock over there right now?
yeah, I'm 3 hours behind.
Gotcha. So it's coming up on happy hour for you. Yeah.
COVID, any hour is happy.
Yeah. Welcome to COVID hour. Dennis, I don't know if you can see her. Edie Huell is on the call with us. She's one of our members, and she lives in Saratoga, well, north of Saratoga, right, Edie, about there. And she has an electric boat and lives on a lake.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that is like the coolest thing ever. So
Converted, or did you buy it?
I think she could talk. I believe. Oh, there you go.
We bought it that way on purpose. The lake we're on is all electric. You can't have any gas motors. The caveat with that is you have to have little puny electric motors. The highest horsepower you can have is 3. So we have a 2 horsepower electric motor on our 19.5-foot pontoon boat. Yeah, my kids can swim faster than the boat can go. So
how many hours can you cruise? Like
at 100% at 2 horsepower. According to the battery gauge, it gives us about 9 hours.
I mean, that's decent.
Impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
driving the whole time you're anchored, you know.
No,
so.
and it's not like we're on Galway Lake. It is not large. I think acreage is like 500 acres. It's not. It's
Edie,
small.
I just remembered you said for Christmas you all do like a holiday light parade on or no, when is it that you do that?
No, we did it in the middle of the summer.
Oh, the summer. Okay, it's a little.
We had a electric boat parade. Some people have smaller boats with the same 2 horsepower motor, and they obviously can crush us. But yeah, everyone decorated their boats with lights and trees, and we all cruise around, and people on shore that didn't have a boat or that are like in the groves where all the camps are and stuff, they just came out with lights, and everybody drinks. It's a good drinking lake because we can't go very fast. You can
only go 2 miles an hour. Yeah.
So it's pretty safe.
We do a parade like that here in Newport. It's usually the day after Thanksgiving. And you can decorate your boat for Christmas, Santa's, trees, all that stuff. It got canceled this year because of COVID, but it's fun. It's a good activity for,
Yeah, it is. We already picked a theme for next summer. I think it's luau or Hawaiian or something. So
that is cool.
Should be fun to get the coconut bra out.
Yeah.
All right. It is 7:06. I'm sure there's going to be more that join in as we go. So we'll go ahead and start things off here. And just everyone, if you can go ahead and mute your mic until we get to, I'll explain kind of the layout of how we'll do this. But we'll have an interactive live Q&A session at the end. And Kim, just as a warning for everyone, Kim is restricted potentially to answering certain questions because of a potential NDA or maybe an NDA that doesn't exist. I don't know. But if there is an NDA that does exist, we want to make sure that we don't put Kim in any situation where she could get in trouble with that. So
if I say I can't answer, I won't answer. That's all.
Perfect. Thank you. So to start us off, I mean, we've been friends on Twitter for years. I guess years. I don't even know if it might have been before I even had my Tesla, which was like late 2018. But yeah,
probably.
Kim's a huge person in the Tesla community, especially on Twitter, and it was lucky enough to receive the beta for full self-driving. So I reached out to Kim, said, "Hey, do you want to come on board and talk to us about it, and just let us know the quirks, the features, what's good, what's bad, where do you see it going?" So yeah, thank you, Kim, for joining.
Yeah.
So to start off, just to get a little bit more background on Kim, and this will lead us into our questions. Just to it's always interesting to learn about members of the community. So, what got you interested into Tesla?
I actually started following Tesla in the news when they revealed the Roadster. I thought that it was just absolutely amazing that car was electric, and I thought it was so cool. And I thought this is going to be the future. And at the time, there was no way I was ever going to have a Roadster. It wasn't practical. It was too expensive, blah, blah. But I just thought it was amazing that it existed, and that this is what this company wanted to do, was to convert us to electric. And I wanted to switch to electric back then, just for the environment. And I was driving at the time from outside of Philadelphia to JFK for my commute. And I was driving a V8 SUV that like guzzled gas. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This cost me like $400 a month in gas to commute. And so anyway, I just kept watching them. And then when they revealed the Model S, I was like, that's the most beautiful car I've ever seen in my life. But it was out of no supercharger network at the time. I couldn't even make my drive to New York. And it was too expensive. My ex-husband was way too practical. And so put it on the back burner again until the supercharger networks showed up. And then it was like, oh, they're on this route that I take. I could actually do this now. And so I got a Model S in 2015.
Wow. So I actually, maybe I do remember you getting the Model S, but for some reason it just doesn't stand out to me. So actually, I guess, yeah, that was 2015.
Yep.
What was that, the green, or no? What color did you have?
It was a navy, the old blue,
Okay.
70D. So when they launched the 70D, that was when like the price and the range and everything was like cool, made sense. And so that's what we got. My ex-husband still has it.
Oh,
yeah. He loves it still,
Gotcha.
he's not ready to get rid of it.
Well, good. Yeah, good. I mean, hey, yeah. So that's a perfect question transition to my next question, which is, so what Tesla do you drive today? What are some of the specifications, and why did you go with those choices?
So I have a sleeper Model 3 Performance, silver with white interior. I would love to know if anybody else has my specs, because I've never seen one. I've only seen Performance with silver, with white, with Performance, with the upgrade package, not with the sleeper. But I went with that because I was not going to compromise, was I had to have the white interior. I absolutely loved the white interior. I loved it in the Model X and the S, and I was so happy that they brought it to the Model 3. And so I was going to hold out for that. Well, at first, it was only available to performance cars. And I was so mad because I had been invited to configure in like January, because I was a previous owner and waited in line and all that stuff. And it was only for performance cars, and I didn't want a performance car. I didn't want those tires, really, because in Rhode Island, our roads are just horrendous. And I would just chew through tires. It wasn't practical. My commute is 85 miles now to New York, or to Boston. And so I didn't want to deal with that. But then they offered it in the sleeper, and I was tired of waiting. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to give him my money. Take it. Take my money, Elon. I'm tired of waiting for my car. It was basically how I ended up with this unicorn, because they got rid of the silver like within a few weeks of me taking delivery of my car.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think I remember you having a sleeper version, but it makes it even like more of a unicorn, besides the silver with the white seats also being a sleeper, which is pretty cool.
Totally, yeah.
Okay, so last question before we dive into our full self-driving questions, if that's a thing. So just to get a little bit, and this kind of goes back into what got you interested into Tesla, but actually I guess you answered this before, but so you had your V8 SUV before the Tesla. were you considering getting anything else besides a Tesla? Were there anything else on your horizon, any hybrids or something else like that?
Yeah. So, well, I did end up getting rid of the SUV. And I ended up, the car that I got rid of for my Model 3 was actually a Lexus IS 250. The drive to New York in the SUV was just dumb. And so I got that, which was slightly more fuel efficient, but not like a hybrid. And I drove that car for, well, I had it for 11 years by the time I got my Model 3. But in the meantime, before we got the Model S, we started looking, my ex-husband and I started looking at plug-in hybrids because they were kind of new. There were a couple at the time that it's like right now when you go try to buy an electric car at a OEM, they don't want to sell it to you, right? And so we went to the Ford dealership and I looked at the Fusion and the C-Max plug-in hybrids.
It's a good thing you didn't go with the C-Max. That's
Oh, I sat in it and I got right back out. Like that wasn't going to happen. The other one, what did I say it was? Taurus?
The Fusion?
Fusion. Yeah. That was actually not that bad looking of a car, but all of the battery was in the trunk to the point where it was so small. Like it was literally like a box in the trunk. So that what was available for space was like 4 shopping bags across, or I couldn't even put my suitcase, my little flight attendant rolling suitcase. I couldn't put it in the trunk. It wouldn't fit. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And so we just blew it all off, and I just kept driving my Lexus. And then we got the Model S, and we got rid of my husband's car because his was even older than mine. He had a BMW 3 Series. And then it was just waiting for the Model 3. There was like there was nothing else that I wanted at that point, especially after we got the Model S. Like after that, with software updates and supercharger network, and there was just nothing else that was gonna be good enough.
Gotcha. Cool. So we'll go ahead and dive into I have a couple questions to kind of set the idea for questions that'll come after. But so a couple initial questions, some that came through Twitter and Facebook, and then I'd like to open it up for anyone to unmute their mic after that, and a little back and forth Q&A. Sure. So the first one I have for you is, what's required to get? I mean, there's probably a good amount of us on the call have Teslas. Most of us, I believe, on here do. I'm not sure how many have have paid for full self-driving, but what's required? Do you have to be best friends with Elon secretly? Is that how you get the beta for full self-driving?
I actually don't exactly know how I got it. Like I have guesses, but there were 2 ladies who got it, me and Kristen, K10. And, we were together at Battery Day, and we met a lot of people there. And I think that I met the right person, basically. So, yeah, because otherwise I don't know why, unless I was recommended. Maybe I'm friends with a lot of the Owners Club presidents, and I know that this was going through.
It was all me, Kim. It was all me.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm not sure, but hey, I'll take it.
Gotcha. So now this is a good question too. What is full self-driving beta? We know what autopilot is. We know what traffic aware cruise control is, and auto steer. We have navigate on autopilot. So what exactly is full self-driving beta?
Well, I mean, it works in city streets, and more than like full self-driving now, the regular full self-driving will stop at the red lights and the green and go at the green lights. And I don't know, do you still have to give it a nudge? See, I've had beta song. I don't even
You sound like Earl right now. I don't know what it's like anymore. What is it like to be one of you people?
Yeah. I mean, it really does do that. And then it like the regular full self-driving in my neighborhood, Newport is a lot of one-way streets, very narrow. It didn't work. Like when we first got the full self-driving update that allowed stoplights and stop signs, it wouldn't work on the stop signs in my neighborhood. I wouldn't even let me turn it on. Like, you know, I never got the auto steer icon to even turn on.
Were there lanes for that, or were there no lanes?
No, there are lanes. I mean, it just didn't work. It wouldn't even give me the option to turn it on. It would work on like regular roads, like roads with stoplights, or, you know, like the 2-lane divided highways we've got here with all the box stores and stuff. It works on that, but it didn't work in my neighborhood. This works sort of, which we can get into, in real, like, regular settings.
Got it. So Dennis said, so markings, no matter what, you're able to still engage the full self-driving. And so I guess that's a good point too, what Dennis brought up and what you were saying. So you see an improvement even with markings on the road, as long as there's lines, there's still an improvement compared to what some of us have today.
Yes.
Interesting.
I mean, the current version of full self-driving did not work in certain areas that Beta does, for sure.
Wow. Okay, so about 2 more questions here, and then we'll go into some of the ones from social media. So what have been some of the most impressive things that Beta has done so far? Where has it completely just blown you and said, okay, this is something on another level?
You know, I post a lot of videos of it reacting to pedestrians, cyclists, like that kind of thing. It's really good at that. Like, and I can see on the screen that it picks them up like 100 feet away or more. Like it really, really, really sees them. And like the previous version that I had, I guess we're on 4 now, so maybe it was 3, that like it wouldn't, like if I was coming up on a crosswalk and there were people standing waiting to cross, but they hadn't stepped into the road yet, my car would keep going. This version, if it sees people standing on the side of the road waiting to cross, it will slow for them or stop for them.
So even if they're not in the crosswalk yet, it sees that they're in the area where the crosswalk is, or like getting ready to, and it says, let me just wait a second. Let me see if they're going to cross. Yeah. Okay, they're not. I can go now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the cool thing about that is, I mean, in Newport, there are crosswalks everywhere. There are pedestrians everywhere. And it's not doing it when it shouldn't. It's doing it when it's appropriate. Because if it slowed at every single crosswalk in town, it would be a nightmare. It would be so annoying because they're literally like every 50 feet down Thames Street, there's a crosswalk, you know? So it's doing it when it's supposed to, which, I mean, I don't know, it's like thinking, you know. It also goes around, like in where I live, a lot of the streets are 2-way streets. And I've done a lot of videos on this too. They're 2-way streets, not 1-way streets, but there is parallel parking on one side that makes it so that if you're going to go down your side of the street, you are actually like kind of riding down the middle of the yellow line, because the streets are old. It's a colonial town. They're not wide enough. Parking is at a premium. So you just kind of have to weave in and out of, you know, between the cars, and you have to let cars by. It's not good at letting cars by yet, but it is good at determining when a car is parked as opposed to just stopped. You know what I mean? Like a truck that's a delivery truck that's taking up the whole lane, that's got its hazards on. Like it comes up on it and knows that it's not just stopped in traffic. It's, you need to go around that car, and it does it. I don't know. I think it uses radar to see underneath to see that there's no traffic in front, and that's how it decides that it's something to go around instead of wait behind.
Interesting. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good at those things in town. My area, I feel like I'm testing in an area that's a lot different from everybody else. You know, because
I would say so from what I've seen. Yeah, your area, especially in Rhode Island, seeing those small roads, the 1-ways where there's cars basically parked on the sidewalk. It has to go around them. It's very impressive. there was that one clip you posted. If you want to talk about that before we get to the last question in this section, it was an intersection with a bicycle, a car crossing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Which one was it? Was the one where the bicycle went through, or the one where I just went around? Well, I posted a few with cyclists.
Okay, I think it was where I believe it was a four-way intersection. There was a car coming. I think it waited, and then there was a bicycle ended up going around them.
Yeah. Okay. So that was one of the last ones that I posted. Yeah, it was actually a two-way stop, but it was two one-way roads. So they were going one way. My car was actually I lied. I was on a two-way road. He was on this was a one-way road. So it wasn't a four-way stop. It was a three-way stop, I guess.
Okay.
So I was with my car stopped at the stop sign. There was a car coming that had arrived before me at their stop sign. They went. And then I thought, why aren't we going? And I was getting ready to give it a nudge on the accelerator. And I looked at the rendering on the screen and saw the cyclists that the car saw, and looked up, and there was a cyclist coming. Now the cyclist wasn't to the stop sign yet. A cyclist is supposed to adhere to the road signs, but this cyclist didn't. The cyclist just blew right through, which is Newport. Like, that's what they all do. But the car waited to see what that cyclist was going to do.
So like a human-like behavior, as far as let me figure out what they're going to do first before. Wow.
Yeah, I was totally blown away.
So would you almost say that full self-driving beta has a personality to it?
I definitely feel like it's thinking.
A little artificial general intelligence on our way.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I really do feel like when it does things like that, or when one of the clip that Elon liked the other day, where the pedestrians had not stepped foot into the crosswalk yet and then started crossing, I didn't even see them because this intersection was weird. I didn't see them because I was looking, it was a one-way street coming this way. So I'm looking at the traffic coming that way because that's where the cars are coming. I was looking, that car went, I was like, okay, now why don't we go? I would have turned to look, maybe, I don't know, I probably would have, but the A pillar was in my way because of how this intersection is kind of tilted. And there were three ladies coming, just stepping into the crosswalk, and the car was waiting for them. Wow. It was pretty impressive. I was like, and it did not do that in previous versions, like I was saying earlier.
So you are seeing good improvements from one beta to the next.
I mean, when Elon says it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, I mean, it really is that. It gets good at something like that, but then, other things it doesn't do as well. Like my rotary that it had no problem with before. It's right down the street from my house. I go through it every day, like multiple times a day if I'm doing errands and stuff. It's having a hard time with that now, but it was fine before. So I was really hoping that we would get the latest update before our chat tonight, because really talking it up so it sounds like it's going to be amazing. And for me, like, I have a lot of areas that it really needs improvement. Like it's very hard, very stressful actually for me to drive in town.
So that leads me to the last question for the section before we get into some audience questions. Yeah, you might need a sip for this question.
Yeah.
So where do you see FSD needing to improve the most, or what have been some situations where you said, oh boy, this is not okay right now? It's just something along those lines. Major areas.
No, this is I've talked about it in my videos. So for the type of driving I do in town, it's actually really good, like on the regular, California style roads with, the regular stoplights and straight intersections and all this stuff. It's great. But in town in Newport, everything is really tight. It's almost like Europe in that, or those driving challenges that FSD will have to conquer, in that a lot of one-way roads, a lot of really tight left-hand turns, the car has a hard time with any left, even a wide open left. It can do a wide open left. Maybe it doesn't look too pretty, but it can do it. It can barely do a tight left in town. Rights are a little better in town, depending on what else is going on. If there's cars parallel parked, because cars parallel parked everywhere too. So not only are these roads super tight and the turns are tight, there's cars parallel parked leading up to the left. It doesn't even see the left half the time. A lot of times my car will go right past where the navigation says for it to turn, and then it gets confused and it stops. And then I got to push it because I've got, cars behind me.
Yeah.
I have to disconnect or give it gas or gas
Accelerator.
And then you have to wait for the navigation to recalculate before it'll, work again. And sometimes that's quick, sometimes it's slow. You know how it is now with the nav. And so, so it has a hard time with that. That's a big one. The second really big one for me is on these tight streets, the houses or the fences or the hedges or everything is like right on the sidewalk, so that almost all of the turns in the old part of downtown Newport, you have to creep out and look. You can't see around the wall or the house or whatever is sitting directly on the corner of the sidewalk. And so, I mean, you have to really nose out. I have to nose out for almost every turn in town. I can't even see, and my car isn't even that big. What the car does now is it stops way too far back from stop signs, which everybody's having that issue. It is like this latest version, it is creeping forward at least to get to the line. But what my car does is, like, I can see that there's a fence or something there. I can see that the car cannot see around. Like, I don't care what cameras or whatever people say. No, it cannot see. It is too far back. I'm looking on the renderings. There's nothing there because it can't see. So it thinks it can go because it doesn't see anything. And then it starts to go, and then there's a car right there. And I have to intervene.
It almost, so kind of that part of the personality, what we're talking about before too. So it almost has to say, okay, there's some bushes here. There's a corner. I should probably be a little careful, take it slow.
Yeah,
and right now it says, okay, there's a turn there. I can go. Meanwhile, it needs to be able to see what's around the corner. And whether it's whether it's LiDAR, cameras, anything, you can't see around corners.
You can't see around it. Not where
not
it
yet.
is, not yet. I mean, it is with the last version, it is starting to creep out at wider open intersections. It even says on the screen, autopilot paused, car, I think it says car creeping forward to see, or it says something like that. Now, it didn't used to say that. That's a new alert that's on the screen. But it only does it when it's really more open than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the super tight, narrow streets where everything's right. It still doesn't do that yet. When it does that, and that was one of the, I think I put that in one of the last videos, like when it does that, it's going to be like, holy crap, because for me, it's almost impossible to use in town.
I mean, it just made me realize too, what's really cool. No one, as far as I know, nobody in Europe has full self-driving beta yet. You're basically training Europe right now. you're laying down. It's a kind of an honor in a way. You're laying down the foundation of what's going to be for those roads, those tight roads, those roads where there's cars parked on the side and you can't see what's around the corner, and there's lots of edge cases with
And a lot of the comments that I get on those videos are from Europeans who say, I have something like this where I live, or, whatever. And yes, it's interesting. And a lot of the followers that I have gained since FSD Beta, it's all these European people that, I mean, tons. And they're like watching my videos because it is like, nobody else is testing in these conditions yet. So when that update comes. I really hopeful. I think we're going to get the new one this week. It might be tomorrow actually, or it might be the day after Thanksgiving, but Elon said this week. So hopefully, you know, I'll be able to put some new videos up and see some improvement, you know, in my specific areas. I don't know what it's going to address, but if it addresses any of my issues, I'm going to be psyched.
Gotcha. So yeah, thank you for those. I have questions that were from social media, but I figure it's about 7:30. I'd like to get anyone here on the call involved, and we could kind of throw these other questions in if there's a, you know, a moment of silence in between. But if you'd like to, there's no, like, I know there's a raise hand option on here, but it's not perfect. But if you have anyone here, there's just, you can go ahead and unmute your mic. And like we said, you know, if Kim can answer, she can. If it's something where, you know, potentially not allowed to, then we'll just skip the question. But feel free to unmute your mic and go ahead and ask away.
Hey, Kim, it's Steve. You've been to Paris a lot. What do you think it's gonna, how long it's gonna take for Paris to be okay with full self-driving? Like the Arc de Triomphe roundabout and
oh gosh. Yeah, that's gonna be I can't even imagine like a roundabout like that because of just all the traffic. Because right now the car is a little too polite. You know, it's not aggressive like a human would be aggressive when you know, you're in a situation like that. So yeah, I don't know how long for that, but I think that the other streets in Paris, like regular streets and even the tight streets in Paris, I think when my area is conquered, it's going to be fine for something like Paris. So, but that étoile is going to be a mess. I don't know when they're going to get to that, but I mean, it's you know, it's major. It's like something that's obvious that they're going to have to take, you know, be able to conquer for true level 5. So,
and what you're going to be missing is the eye contact. Like when you're driving in certain situations, you're making eye contact with the other driver, and there's kind of an implicit, I'll go first or you go first. And
yeah,
you're not going to have that. You don't have that with the cars anymore until all the cars are self-driving, and then they can communicate with each other via radio waves or whatever.
yeah. I was actually just thinking that today because I went to this nearby town that I've been to this town, but I had never been to where I drove today. And it was an area where we have this in Newport, but it was an area where you really needed to like coordinate with other cars to like zoom in, zoom out, to move over because it was a real tight street where you're talking where like you needed to understand, you know, what the other driver was doing and they needed to understand what you were doing. And I was like, I don't know how they're going to do that. And especially when they're not on autopilot and or FSD and I am, like, I feel like there's going to be a time where people are messing with us, you know, when like, oh, there's a full self-driving car, I'm going to, you know, do whatever I want.
I've had that fear a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's probably, especially up here, like, because people are jerks with the way that they drive. So, so yeah, I don't know how they're gonna figure that kind of in between time out.
I'll actually ask a question while we're waiting for the next one. Have you come across a situation? So I was in New York City for an event, a club event. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I think it was down in Long Island, and I was visiting a friend in Queens. I was staying over at their place, and whatever it was, a road was shut down. We had to take a detour. It was the most, I'm not even joking, it was the most stressful situation I've ever been in my entire life, as far as trying to get over this lane. I think I posted a quick video on Twitter about it. But there was a time too where there was a police officer, you know, trying to give commands about, okay, you stop, you go, you stop, you go. Have you come across a situation like that? Okay. Yeah. So you have come across a situation like that.
It's not ready. It doesn't recognize that yet. I've actually run across that quite a bit. I ran across it today because there's a lot of construction going on around here, and yeah, it doesn't get that yet. Though I do think that will be like relatively easy in the grand scheme for them to figure out.
One of my thoughts too with that is I don't know the resolution of the cameras on our cars. It might be 720, it might be 1080. I don't think they're 4K, but sometimes you get a really lazy, whether it's construction worker or police officer, and they, a little finger instead of actually, come on. So I'm wondering, will it be able to pick up, come on, just a little, a little movement like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, I can tell you, I've had it happen. My car just stops. So I got to push it. Like I have to hit the go pedal, to make it go. When it gets like confused, it's not sure what to do.
Gotcha. We by the way, everyone, you could ask questions in the chat too if you don't want to unmute. You're welcome to do that. But here's one from the chat. Have you come across a four-way stop sign? This is actually something I've been wondering too. Have you come across a four-way stop sign where there were 2 or 3 cars there at the same time? As human drivers, that can be, somewhat sort of, well, were they there first? Should I just go? They're going to take forever. So have you come across a situation like that before? A four-way stop sign with cars positioned?
Yeah. And as it is right now, my car is again like super polite and just let everybody go, and then I'm going to take my turn. So if it's not sure whose turn it is, it'll let them go first, basically.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to say, and that was the concern too for later, which is, are people going to start, messing with the full self-driving cars, and it's always going to be polite to me. I'll just take advantage and go. And it's like, well, as to keep the driver safe, that's the ultimate goal. And so
Steve, Howard's here.
Yeah, Howard.
Actually, I mean, this is one thing I did put on Facebook. If people saw that for the full self-driving, I did notice that so far, I think it's limited by states. So there's only certain states that are allowed to have this so far. So of course, New York not being one of those.
I don't know about that. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's what, like, on one of the rumor sites, but well, it wouldn't surprise me, maybe New York State having more regulation, maybe they wouldn't want it, but it was like 8 or 11 states so far, Rhode Island being one, of course.
Yeah. I haven't heard that. I actually was under the impression that the federal government, like maybe there's some state laws that I don't know about, but I was actually under the impression the federal government is being pretty lenient about FSD and the testing, and they're watching us, but I don't know anything about any specific states. That's not why we got chosen,
okay,
as far as I know.
And then there was one, of course, these great news sources that, I go to, but I think this one was on Reddit, was that those who have a social media presence as well, they like to use. So,
I mean, I think that for the initial group, that was a consideration. But like there was a guy that I just met yesterday that I actually don't even remember his name. He's a pilot for JetBlue, and he wrote to the early access team and like laid out why he would be a good candidate to test FSD because of his pilot, background and blah blah blah, and he got it.
Yeah.
And he's putting his stuff on YouTube, but he's not like a influencer or social, media person.
And now I know I'll never get it too because of good driving skills and.
I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, it's through the owners clubs. So being an owners club president, just ask them.
We haven't got anything.
I can neither confirm nor deny that as well.
So Steve has his hand up. I believe that actually does work. It will show, I guess, in order, that's pretty helpful. Okay. Steve, you can go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So it's easy. There's the raise hand in the participants box, and yeah, for you it'll show up in order. I can answer the question about the FSD. Well, Tesla FSD is not autonomous driving. You are in control of you're supposed to be in control of the car, same as navigate on autopilot. So we can't confuse Tesla's FSD with the autonomous driving laws, which I don't have the exact number of states. 11 probably sounds right. I know Florida has some. California has them. California has very stringent rules in regards to giving back information on disengagements and stuff like that. But again, that is like, there's nobody, literally nobody in there, or their sole purpose is not to be touching the wheel, which is not the case with Tesla. So in this case, it's just a name like Autopilot. FSD is for now just a name until it's actually legal to do it, and Tesla is authorized to actually have that. So we can't really confuse the two.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah. Edie, you have your hand up.
Hi. So are two parts to this question. Are you able to kind of communicate with the other beta testers and brainstorm or throw ideas off each other and kind of see how stuff's going?
Yeah.
And with that, is this group providing data or information or feedback to Tesla, or are they just taking the data from your vehicles?
So not all of us, but some of the ones that are on Twitter are in a group chat that I started, like when I first got it, because James Locke, who I'm friends with, had gotten it, and Kristen K10, and Vincent, like people that I'm already friends with, like in real life. And so I, kind of rounded them up, and we started talking. And John, who's Tesla owner Silicon Valley, who was the first one to get it. So we've all been talking, and yes, so when we have issues, we say, hey, this happened to me today. One of the things that this current build is doing is, it started like hugging the center line all of a sudden, like on just a 2-lane road, not when it's a 4-lane road, but when it's just like one lane each direction. All of our cars, and it just started happening the last couple of days. It wasn't like this when we first got this build, started to really hug the center line to the point where if there's another car coming, we're not over the line, but it's like not how a human would drive. And like it would be maybe off-putting to the oncoming car. So like things like that.
So that's one of those 2-step forward, 1-step back pieces.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it wasn't even doing that at the beginning of the build. So we were all like, why is it happening days in, or a week or more in? All of a sudden, all of us started having this. So we were wondering if Tesla is somehow able, because all our cars are uploading data to them every night. Like, so I'm not doing it, but people have apps or something that they're using to see how much data their car is sending and what it's receiving. And there was one night when I think James said that his car downloaded like 10 gig or something. And I guess that it was probably map data. But there is data being exchanged in between these updates. We all haven't figured out exactly what it's doing, but we wonder if like something happened and there's like now a bug that's causing all of our cars to do this. So we talk about issues, yes. And for your second question, we have several ways that we can report to the early access team. One is a disengagement. Any disengagement they review. We can push a camera icon that we have as beta testers. It's not a part of the regular UI. That will send them a screenshot or a snapshot, they call it, for them to look at what was going on around that time, and that's manually entered. So if we do that, they know, okay, this is something that we think that they need to look at. And then we also can email them specific issues. Like I emailed them, I have this weird intersection that's like a total edge case. And I said, okay, so this is how this intersection is weird. And it'll be really cool if that is addressed. I actually just sent that to them, so I don't expect it in this update that we get next. But when it is, I'll be like, oh, I did that. Like I gave them.
Do they ever write back and say,
they haven't written back to me, but they have to other people. They haven't to me, but I actually don't email them nearly as much as like some people like Raphael and James, Teslatino, and James Locke. they send like reports every night, and I just the kind of driving I'm doing, like I feel like they're getting the data, most of the stuff from me just via disengagements and when I do a screenshot. But I only send them an email when it's like a real pickle, that's not going to be easy, I think.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dennis, before we hop over to you, see your hands up, I have a question from the chat here. So this is an interesting one. So what difference, or have you seen any difference that FSD has made on highway driving as opposed to just regular autopilot?
No. In fact, it switches back to regular autopilot as soon as you're on the highway.
Does it get rid of the visualizations on the,
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
it wasn't me, but somebody has.
James did that on one of his early videos going
Yeah.
to JPL.
Yeah. Somebody did the video. So yeah.
I'll ask one more question before we hop over to Dennis, just to try to catch up with some in the chat. Have you come across a school zone, and does a car
it
doesn't slow down or doesn't? Interesting. Okay, so
areas that it needs like improvement on, besides the ones that I mentioned, my specific ones, school zones, it doesn't recognize emergency vehicles yet. It turns right on red when there's a sign that says no right on red.
That could be an expensive ticket.
Right. Well, like if it's, so here in Newport, we have two different, I'm sure everywhere, but I have two specific examples in my town, which is just a regular stoplight with the round, yellow, green, red. And then the red arrow, like it's a green arrow or a red arrow. When it's the arrow, it won't go, because when it's red, no right on red, it won't go. But if it's just the regular kind of stoplight, the round stoplight, but there's a separate sign that says no right on red, it still tries to go.
Interesting. Dennis, if you want to go ahead and ask a question.
So just jumping on top of that. So basically, if you're in New York City, the car doesn't know that the law in the island is you can't make rights on reds.
That would be interesting.
Do that manually.
But
I mean, that's correct, right? New Yorkers, Manhattan, you can't.
Yeah, no. As far as I know, I believe it's all the 5 boroughs. No turn on red.
Are there signs at every
As far as I know, I don't believe there's any signs. Yeah.
No, I got screamed at by a cop when I had a rental car making a right on red when I had my thing, and I said, "Sorry, California, don't know what I'm doing."
Yeah, this is.
That's something they're gonna have to.
True.
What's that?
I said I live in Manhattan, and that's definitely true. They don't mark the streets or anything, but you cannot make rights on red.
Oh, well, they're going to have to obviously use like map-based data or something where like they know where you are and that's the law. I mean, because there's all kinds of like cases like that. In Europe, they have all kinds of like things. Somebody was messaging me or commented on one of my videos that, oh, it didn't stop at that crosswalk. And I was like, it didn't, because there was nobody in it. I was like, it doesn't, I don't have to. And he's like, oh, if you did that in Finland, you would get a ticket, or, whatever it was. And I was like,
I think Finland will be lower down the ranks of when they need to
get but all those things I feel like are easy. They're probably like that's on the easier side for the, software to tackle, as opposed to other things that are way harder.
Well, if you want to try some corner cases, I kept teasing you about this when you first got it, because you're the furthest east and north. Head down to New Jersey and do some jug handles. That would be interesting to see.
What are those?
I don't even know.
When they make left turns in New Jersey, rather than make a left turn, they have to go through the right. Curve around and take the light to go around.
We have those. We have you know what? I'll do that. I don't know if I'll be able to do it before Thanksgiving, because I have a guest coming. I got to get ready, but maybe that weekend I'll try to like drive out there where that is and force the nav to do one of those, see what happens.
And as far as the polite driver, that's kind of how we're trained in California for our licenses when you grow up here. So, that's what it is. And usually if you're more aggressive, it's because you've learned to drive elsewhere.
Well, and I mean, I think it's like probably a good thing that FSD is extra cautious and polite right now, because it's in beta, it's still learning.
I'll try to go through a couple questions quickly from the chat here. There's a couple that are building up. David, I believe we answered the one about data getting sent back to Tesla, so we'll go ahead and skip that. Kim, how does it work in bad weather, rain, snow, or fog? Have you come across? Have you had snow yet?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not ready for snow. I mean, they told us that. They told us that but the way that they said it, like it's not ready, means that it's going to be ready. It's just not yet, And as of now, with rain, the way, how current FSD, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I have, Navigate on Autopilot is tied to the wiper speed. If your wipers go to high, it turns off. Even if you do it manually, because you know how the wipers aren't that great sometimes. And like they're not going fast enough for you and you just want to like get it off. If I put it on high for even just one little click, it'll turn it off. It does that now. Like as soon as the wipers go to high, it turns off.
Interesting.
So, but I feel like that's, again, like just, it's another step that, that they'll get to, but you know how Tesla does it. They're building on, each thing.
So here's something I think you might have actually posted this too. So we've seen FSD handling speed bumps, the beta handling speed bumps. It's fairly impressive.
Really good.
Any indication that it's slowing or swerving for potholes? These are my number one reason for disengagement when on long nav on AP highway drives. So have you, I guess even on the highway on, a city or, residential areas, have you seen it say, oh, might be a pothole. Let me move out of the way for that.
So other people, other beta testers in the chat have mentioned that, that they think that their car swerved for a pothole. I have not noticed that, but I mean, to be frank, like the roads here are just craters after crater after crater potholes. I mean, it's the roads here are so bad that like it's all potholes basically, so I'm not sure in a lot of areas. And so I'm not sure, like there are times when I feel like it's hesitating, like does it think it sees something, but there's nothing there. Like I haven't personally experienced it yet, but other people have, they say. So
gotcha. Does the beta change anything in regard to summon, to smart summon?
I actually have used Smart Summon once, and it was when it first came out, and it like totally freaked me out, and I've never used it since. And I've never actually used auto park in my car. I just haven't. So I actually saw that question on Twitter, and I asked James earlier, and he says that there's no change yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I've seen the videos where it can navigate while you're in FSD. It can navigate the parking lot.
It doesn't,
but not
yet.
But no parking for you, and no real substantial difference between summon with beta, summon versus without beta.
Apparently not. And even with parking lots, it doesn't go into every parking lot. Like if I set my nav and say I want to go to Home Depot, sometimes it depends on the map. Sometimes the navigation will stop before you get to the parking lot, so it won't take you in there. One of my very first times though, I navigated to a shopping center where it did take me in, and this shopping center parking lot actually had stop signs and stuff, and it navigated it just fine. But so it depends on the maps if it'll take you into a parking lot or not, and once it does, it will not park for you yet.
Interesting. Kim, do you have a hard cutoff by any chance? Just like, do you want to say like 8:20 the latest?
Yeah,
okay, we'll go a little bit more. I don't want to keep you on for too much longer. So this is an interesting question. As a beta tester, do you have to drive a certain amount of miles in a day or a week?
No.
Okay.
No, in fact, I probably drive less than a lot of other people because I live on an island. I tootle around here. I go through spins through town. But I don't make like special trips to like, oh, let me go beta test my car. Like I just beta test if I'm when I'm running an errand or, whatever. I invent reasons to run errands sometimes, but I don't like, okay, my job is to test the car today. I don't do that.
Here's a question. Unless anyone else has one from, they want to ask live, but I have another one. I think I just forgot it actually. Okay, it'll come back. It'll come back. No. Someone did ask, where can we find more of your videos on your Twitter, which is the perfect place to find them, right?
Yeah, I don't put my videos on YouTube. I'm not a YouTuber. I've never been. I'm not interested in doing that. Everything is on Twitter. A lot of people are asking me to use my videos, which I always say yes. And so, you can find, I know that I've seen my videos on TikTok, on YouTube, but they're not from me. So you'd have to search, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Gotcha.
But all of my videos on Twitter.
Huh.
Yeah.
Can you override the nav to take a route you prefer versus what it would like you to do?
No.
So that's one of the things I'd like to see changed also. There was, when I was taking the trip down to Long Island, I didn't want to go on one route. I'd rather have taken a different, and then it just refused. So I had to kind of figure it out myself. It wasn't that difficult, but it would have been nice to have the option to at least choose.
Yeah, that's part of one of the things with Tesla's navigation that isn't like as great, is to let you choose a route.
This is interesting. Stanley says your videos are widely circulated in China, in case you didn't know.
No.
There's a celebrity in China, Kim.
So you're big in China? Are you big in Japan though?
What is there an inside joke here?
It's a song.
It's a song.
Oh.
You're too young. Such a kid, man.
It's an 80s song. Now you have to go listen to it.
Oh, the head of Tesla's China retweeted. The head of Tesla China retweeted your video on Weibo, the Twitter equivalent to what we have here. Very interesting.
Oh wow! No, I had no idea.
And John said Musk finally caved into waypoints. They did mention waypoints, but until we see it, that's Musk time. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he caved into that a really long time ago. And
no, he just did it a few months ago. It's on Elon time though.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, he basically said, "Fine, we'll give you waypoints."
Well, John, UK, we're slamming him hard on Twitter for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good work there. Yeah.
Do you have your videos on YouTube as well? Can we find them on there?
I don't.
Okay,
I mean, I guess because I don't do I don't post long drives. And part of the reason I don't post long drives is because I have a lot of disengagements because of town, and it's frustrating, and it's kind of annoying, and I wouldn't want to watch that. I just kind of feel like my brain is, my attention span is good for a couple minute clips. And so that's what I post. And so I just never have taken the time to just upload a whole bunch of 30-second or 1 minute, which is what most of my videos are.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I mean, other people are doing the full drives, and I just let them do that. I don't do it.
Jim asked us, I believe, maybe it's something in beta, but any integration with Waze by any chance?
No.
No.
Oh my God. We've been asking for that for since I got my first Tesla in 2015, and never happened. I have to think that there's some legal reason why Tesla can't enter into, maybe it's because it's by
it's
Google.
Licensing. I mean, look, when you got your 2015, the maps were from Google, right?
Yeah.
And then they got rid of that and they loaded the whole maps thing because they like everything else, Tesla likes to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
So,
isn't Waze owned by Google?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Edie asked an evil question here, calling you out, Edie. So you've covered, pretty much what are you not allowed to comment on? If you're even allowed to say, what are you not allowed to comment on? Or is it really that secretive?
It's not that secretive. I think, I feel like I need to keep it positive. And they don't mind if we show disengagements or, things like that, but they don't want, they just want us to make sure that everybody knows that it's beta.
Yeah, and that you're not just trash talking it and
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, I'm not, but I can't talk about what I can't talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have a couple of questions that from social media. So I think you said you got your Model 3 in 2018, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how much did full self-driving cost you? Did you have to get enhanced autopilot first? Did you have to pay for autopilot? Did you get to take advantage of any of those super flash crazy discounts that happened and
Yeah.
disappeared very quickly?
Yeah. So that's what I did. So
Oh,
I got autopilot or enhanced autopilot, I guess, or whatever it was with the car. And I upgraded to FSD when it was on that like $2,000 sale. But I had already paid for, like, now you get autopilot for free. So like kind of, I think I kind of ended up paying the same.
that's exactly what happened with myself. Yeah, ended up paying $7,000. Whether it was, yeah, it's weird how it all turned out. Now it is $3,000 more than what we would have ever paid.
Yes.
But it does still. So you ended up ultimately coming up to about $7,000.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. And it obviously full self-driving is required to purchase to get the beta.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. You have to have that. And part of the reason that I did the upgrade, well, I mean, there were a lot of reasons, but first was FOMO. Because I know who I am, and I was like, I'm going to regret it if I don't get it, which is obviously playing out now because I'd be missing out on all this if I didn't have it. And then also, if my car really ever is a robotaxi, like my idea is that like I would just keep this car and get my next Tesla and keep it and let it earn me some money. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but I'm actually enjoying it in the meantime. The things that you get just with regular enhanced autopilot FSD, I don't know what they're calling, what the features, because they've changed what features are with what when they got rid of paid autopilot. But I remember we got the auto lane change like right before I did my road trip out to Custer for the Tesla rally last year. It didn't happen this year because of COVID, but last year. And it was like, I mean, on highway, it was just like, wow, like such a huge leap. And so that alone was worth the $2,000 to me. Even if I don't end up with level 5, this has been great so far. So
an interesting question, and I didn't think about this, but have you discovered any Easter eggs that might be specific to full self? Nothing. Okay.
No, we've talked about that in our chat. We're like, where are the Easter eggs? But no, we haven't. Mm-mm.
Kim, did you buy more Tesla stocks after you tried full self-driving? Was it
so I have not been working since March. So I don't have a lot of money to buy new stocks with. But I basically like every bit of invested cash I have is in Tesla.
Gotcha.
And now like I just bought one share today. Because the only like my play money right now is just the money that I get from I get like cash back on I have my credit card through Fidelity, which is where my 401k is. And I get like cash back with that and I buy Tesla stock with it. And I have an individual account and I have, I think 38 shares now in that is all just from money from cash back from credit card purchases.
Not bad. Thanks to the credit card companies.
I mean, and like, what that's worth now, right? So
all those happy hours.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I really, if I had more money to put into Tesla, I would. I really would.
So that'll kind of lead us into our closing questions here. So I have 3 for you, and if anyone else wants a closing question, that kind of wrap things up. So based on what you're seeing, and that was actually a good question about the are you considering buying more stocks? From what you're seeing today, is it almost like proof that okay, this is it, we're getting there? Where do you see Tesla in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So, more factories. I think that, they're going to do a lot more with the energy side, especially once they get these battery, lines up. I actually think that they're probably going to end up making more money on that than the cars eventually.
I think so too, especially if they could sell those cells to other companies. It's going to make sense. What, there'd be almost no incentive to make your own cells when you could buy them from Tesla for cheaper, put them into whatever design you want, and there you go.
Yeah. I think that I mean, they're going to have more cars. I hope that they have a van. I hope that they have the Model 2. I hope obviously it'll be the semi.
You've gone camping in your Model 3 before, haven't you?
I haven't slept in my Model 3.
Okay.
I was prepared to, on my road trip that I did this summer. I did about a third camping, a third hotel, a third staying with friends was kind of how it worked out. And I was ready to camp in the car. I had the setup all ready for it, but I never actually had to use it. I prefer sleeping in a tent.
It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any speaking of the adventure style, have you considered the Cybertruck at all?
Oh my God. Well, I was at that event, and I love that thing. Like I absolutely love it. I want one. There is absolutely no reason for me to have one. So I decided that I just need to find a boyfriend that has a Cybertruck. That's going to be, in my dating profile, must have Cybertruck.
Not bad. Yeah. Yeah, minimum requirements, must have a Cybertruck. I don't care how tall you are, Cybertruck.
Yeah, Cybertruck, big.
I like it. So based on what you see today, how long do you think it'll be before we see level 5 autonomy, full, complete autonomy, have the car pick up your grandparents, your kids, your, robo-taxi as far as just generating revenue, based on what you see today, as a beta tester?
Right.
How long do you think it's going to be before we see it at a level 5 autonomy?
Well, I mean, when it's capable and not when the government approves it, I would say, maybe a year or less, but a year.
Wow.
I'll say a year.
So there's a good based on that. There's a very good chance by the Cybertruck first Cybertruck that rolls off the assembly line, that could be a robo-taxi.
I mean, it's possible. It's going to be really interesting because Elon is really talking up this update we're about to get. I hope that if it's really is, the leap forward that he says it's going to be, I might even revise that timeline down.
Wow.
But just based on today, because I definitely see, I can see it. I can see that the car is getting things that the current FSD does not get. And these are just little baby steps, but they're happening fast. I've only had this for a month? How long has it been? It hasn't been that long. And it's already better than the very first version that I had. So yeah.
No, it's interesting.
And as they expand the program, then they're just going to get, more data.
Yeah, no, it's true. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so the finale question here, at least that I have, if anyone else wants to add one more, but we could make this the last one. Would you recommend, if someone owns a Tesla today, or even is considering a Tesla, would you recommend that they purchase the full self-driving package?
If they drive, I think that anybody right now, if you do highway driving, on your commute, it's worth it. I think it's even over just regular autopilot, just to have the auto lane change and all that is, to me, worth it, because my first car had AP1, so I knew what the limitations on that car were with autopilot. This is so much better. The FSD is so much better than just autopilot to me, because of how I drive. I drive, from Newport to Boston normally when I'm working on my commute. I also take a lot of road trips. I like to drive a lot. So if you do any kind of real driving, yes, it's worth every penny. If you're just driving hauling the kids to the school or to the grocery store, then no, you probably don't need it, but, or if you want to, if the type of person you want to like earn revenue eventually, if you think that there's going to be a robotaxi in your future, then yes, do it now, because it's only going to get more expensive, or Elon says it's only going to get more expensive.
Yeah. I ended up, this is just myself and I am not committed, it's a fully refundable deposit, but I ended up placing 4 orders for the Cybertrucks. So my goal is to be able to have a little mini fleet and just be able to have that as a source of income. To me, it's almost like owning, a stock with crazy dividends, or at least good dividends. You put your, put 50, 70,000 out, depending on which version you go. Well, at least minimum, it's going to be 57, right? If you got in, but I ended up getting all the trucks with full self-driving for $7,000, and it's already gone up to $10,000. So very good chance that, that it's gonna, keep going up, especially like you said. I think Elon said it's not just gonna go up by 1,000 every time. From this last one, it went from 8 to 10,000, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of what makes me believe that they know what's coming. Like, so for me testing it and I see all of its flaws, for them to be ready to charge, like, that's real money. That's
a lot of money. That's almost a brand new car if you're getting something on the low end. Yeah.
I mean, I just had 3 referrals in the last month and a half. None of them got full self-driving because it's too expensive for them. I wasn't even in a position to try to talk them into it, because I just thought, well, it's $10,000. It's a lot of money. I get it, but they've also never had a Tesla before, so they don't know what they're missing.
Yeah. All right. So, oh, sorry.
No, but I just feel like, for Tesla to charge $10,000 for something that we don't have the functionality yet, it must be imminent.
Yeah. All right, so we have 2 more questions. One will be the final question. This is the second to last question.
Okay.
David wants to know, do you have any idea about how many builds ahead Elon's car is compared to the FSD betas? I'll answer part of that unless you know a little bit more, but I believe Elon said on Twitter, he's like, I'm just barely ahead of all the beta testers.
Yeah, I think that I saw what you saw, and that's all I know. I think that he said he was 3 builds ahead or something like that.
Gotcha.
So, and that was at least 1 or 2 builds ago. So I actually think that the one that he's hyping up is the one that he
has right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So here's our last question, and this was presented by Edie. The real last question: what are you drinking tonight?
Well, okay. So this is boring. This is a Mexican or Moscow Mule, which is vodka and ginger beer and lime. But before that, way before the call, my happy hour drink, which I posted on Twitter, was a concoction I made up today that was rye, espresso, Kahlua, 2 dashes of chocolate bitters. I think I did simple syrup. I don't remember. And a flamed orange peel.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is why I said you are the Tesla mixologist out there. Yeah. Steve wanted to also make a quick announcement that there's a SpaceX launch tonight. I thought there was 3 in the last couple of days. I guess they just keep going. This is nuts. So
they actually keep pushing it. So it was
okay. So
Saturday,
there's
Sunday, Monday, and now we're Tuesday. So it's the 4th.
Gotcha. So one
is it the
plan
same
for
window?
tonight?
Like in an hour and 30 minutes from now?
Yeah, I think it's 9:24 or something. I was actually looking right now. You got to it a bit too quickly, but yeah, it's not the mission control audio is already up, but that's not the one with the visuals. So that's going to be up a little bit later.
Gotcha.
Is it a Starlink launch?
Yeah, it's a Starlink launch.
It's the one that was scheduled for Sunday that kept getting pushed.
It was initially actually the same. It was Saturday initially, the same day as the Vandenberg launch. It was supposed to be at 9:55 or something, and that one got canceled hours before. And
can you find this on NASA TV as well, Steve? Do you know?
You'll have it pretty much everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's also already some pre-flight. Oh, yeah, there's already a NASA space flight is already live ahead of time. So.
And it's on SpaceX too. If you just go.
Yeah, on either
And, yeah,
YouTube or
SpaceX,
website.
it'll go live 10 or 15 minutes before the actual launch time. But I think it's now 9:24. But you can check.
Gotcha. Well, Kim, thank you so much again for joining us
Can
tonight.
I have one more question for Kim?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Hi, Kim. Listen, you have a Model 3 Performance,
Yeah, a sleeper.
and you got that in 2018.
Yeah.
Now you said something about a sleeper. What is that?
So a sleeper, I don't know if they still offer it now. They call it something else maybe now. It's basically, my car looks like a regular Model 3 with the Aero wheels, 18-inch wheels, but it has the.
You don't have the 20. You don't have the performance wheels.
No, I didn't want them because
Okay.
my roads here are just awful, so I didn't want them. But I have the acceleration and I have track mode. So
Right.
I have the 3. What is it? 3.2.
Right.
or
But
Is it
I have
2.9?
I have the exact same car with the white seats, but I have no idea what a sleeper is.
Yeah. They only.
What is that?
I think it's a performance underneath, right?
Performance, but you don't have
They-
the spoiler, you don't have the 20-inch wheels, you don't have the upgraded brakes.
Oh, okay.
And then you just don't have the little decal that says
I
dual
see.
motor with
I've
the
never heard of that.
You have the decal.
Oh, you do have the decal?
I have the underline. Yep.
Okay.
You can get the underline for it.
Gotcha.
I
No,
got it.
Basically,
they
they were selling all-wheel drive prices to people, and they
Yeah.
only had the motors for the performance.
see.
So to make the numbers, they threw it in there.
Yeah.
Sleepers don't have the pedals either. So.
You're right.
Oh, the pedals.
Right. I put
I
on
see.
like aftermarket pedals.
Right.
But like I would have to get an aftermarket spoiler, but which I don't want. But yeah, it's just I don't need any of it. Like I
Sure.
would have been fine with an all-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
Now that I have it, I love it. It's fun.
I wish I would have gotten the 18-inch wheels because the performance wheels are a pain. They're rough on the road. But I put my winter tires on 18-inch and they're so much smoother and it's so much more comfortable to drive.
That's why yes. I mean, that's why like I would have never gotten a performance car. I'm not going to take my car to the track. I'm not going to,